So good afternoon and a warm welcome to everybody present here for this inaugural function of a 3 days online faculty development program on renewable energy, a future prospectus, organized by Department of Mechanical Engineering of Maratha Vidya Prasarak Samajas Karmavir Advocate Baburao Ganpatrao Thakre, College of Engineering, Nasik. I am glad to inform you all that we have with us as a chief guest for this inaugural function, respected Mr. Avinash Shirode sir, Director on National Space Society USA, Aerospace Engineer in Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, Israel. We also have with us speaker for today's technical session, respected Dr. Brijesh Patel sir, Head Aeronautical Engineering Department, MATS University, Raipur. We also have with us speaker Dr. Naveen Srivastav, Assistant Professor, Mechanical Engineering Department, BITS Pilani, Dubai Campus, Dubai. We do have with us Dr. Sandeep Joshi, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Sri Ramdev Baba College of Engineering and Management, Nagpur. We do have with us respected principal of our college and education officer of MVP Samaj, Dr. N.S. Patil sir. And we also have with us respected vice principal, Professor N.B. Leslie sir. I, Dr. A.A. Kakse, welcome and thank all the dignitaries for being with us today. With this and with kind permission of all the dignitaries, I would like to request Head of our Mechanical Engineering Department, Dr. V.C. Shevade sir, to begin the function with his welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon to all. A respected Principal and Education Officer, Dr. N.S. Patil sir. Respected Vice Principal, Professor N.B. Leslie sir. Today's chief guest for these 3 days FDP, Mr. Avinash Shirode. Today's speaker, Mr. Brijesh Patel. All faculty members of Mechanical Department and dear participants. On behalf of Mechanical Engineering Department, I welcome you all for this 3-day FDP on renewable energy, a future prospectus. We all are aware that due to the shortage of fossil fuel, all countries are looking towards renewable sources as a future energy and trying to increase the percentage of contribution of renewable energy in the total electricity generation capacity. Our country is also not behind in this race. Currently, near about 36% of installed capacity electricity generation in our country is coming from renewable energy source, resulting in near about 21% of total utility electricity. So we are aiming for more ambitious target of 57% total electricity capacity from renewable sources by 2027. So our government has also set a target for installation of rooftop solar projects, including the house roof also. So our country was the first country in the world to set up a Ministry of Non-Conventional Energy Sources in 1980s. Hence, our government is very serious about increasing installed capacity of renewable energy. And there are many opportunities as well as challenges in this field. Hence, it is important for all institutes to spread the awareness about these renewable energy resources among researchers, faculties, and students, and motivate everybody to contribute in this field. So our department is trying to contribute in this mission through this small FDP. We have 3 eminent speakers, Mr. Brijesh Patel, Dr. Naveen Srivastav, Dr. Sandeep Joshi. So I hope that all participants will be benefited through the knowledge sharing by these experts in the field of renewable energy. So once again, I welcome you all for this FDP. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request respected principal of our college and education officer of MVP Samaj, Dr. N.S. Patil, sir, to kindly guide us on this occasion. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon to all dignitaries. Respected Avinash Shirode sir, after a long time I am interacting with him. Hi sir.
So happy to see you.
Currently I am at hospital only. So handling COVID, yes, COVID hospital administration. So last from 3 months I am there. So that's why we were unable to meet each other. Okay, that is nice to see you for this seminar. We are having this legend personality with us for this 3 days STDP. Then we are having Brijesh Patel sir, Sandeep Joshi sir. I welcome all the dignitaries and these legends. I appeal all the staff and the participants to get benefit of this thing and do some practical things. After listening to all these well-known personalities, and try to implement that in our campus or anywhere. That will be true result of such FDPs. So I will not take much time because I am going to hear from Avinash Shirode sir once again and the other dignitaries. So I welcome all the participants for this 3 days FDP. Thank you once again. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable guidance.
Thank you.
Now I request respected Vice Principal of our college, Professor N.B. Desle, sir, to kindly guide us on this occasion.
Good
Over to you,
afternoon to all. It is really very heartening to see that our Department of Mechanical Engineering is organizing such a FDP, which is online and for 3 days. So I congratulate Department of Mechanical Engineering, head of that department, Dr. Shevare sir, all his team. And on the behalf of Maratha Vidya Prasarak Samajas KBT College of Engineering, which is one of the largest education institute in Maharashtra, on behalf of Dr. N.S. Patil sir, who has already welcomed all of you, who is education officer as well for our college, and who is starving for the best for our institute and helping and guiding all of us for all the time. So this is really very good opportunity for all the participants to go through the experience of all these dignitaries like Shirode sir, Brijesh Patel sir, Srivastav sir, and Sandeep Joshi sir. So we all are eager to hear from them. So once again, I congratulate Department of Mechanical Engineering and hand over the proceedings to Dr. Kapse sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now, it gives me an immense pleasure to introduce to you today's chief guest, Mr. Avinash Shirode sir. Mr. Avinash Shirode sir is a multifaceted and versatile personality. Sir is basically a civil engineering graduate from College of Engineering, Pune, and a postgraduate in structural engineering from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, IISc Bangalore. Although sir is basically a civil engineer, but sir has worked in almost all fields of engineering. So sir is an aerospace engineer by employment in Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, ISRO. Sir is an architectural engineer also by profession for sugar, textile and industrial projects. Sir is a software engineer also, as he has developed various computer software packages for RCC and structural designs, estimates, construction management, etc. He is an electrical and mechanical engineer also by research in low RPM, low wind velocity aero generator for domestic windmill. Sir is an automobile engineer also by research and experiments on running a car by wind energy. Sir is an agricultural engineer also by research and experiments in developing agricultural equipment. Sir is an a pharmaceutical engineer also by research and experiments on medicinal properties of Rudraksha fruit skin, leaves, flowers and scalp for diabetic patients. So this is the engineering portfolio, but apart from this, Sir is giving spiritual lectures also on theory of karma. You are the author of your own destiny. Sir is designated as Space Ambassador for National Space Society USA, and he was the first member from India to be elected on this board, NSS board. Sir is blessed with 5 Rudraksha trees and get thousands of Rudrakshas every year, and he gives these Rudrakshas as a prasad. Sir is a winner of several prestigious national and international awards, which are 44 in number till date, and many felicitations. Sir has published several technical papers and reports in national and international journals. Sir is a member of several technical, educational and social institutions as an office bearer. And not only this, apart from this, Sir is a poet, a writer, a thinker, a traveler, a visionary, orator, a spiritual meditator, donor and whatnot. So we are fortunate that we have such an eminent personality with us. Sir, your presence here is a big motivation for all of us. So, and we are eager to hear from you. So I kindly request you to guide us on this occasion. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
And can you see me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me first congratulate the KBT College of Engineering for arranging a 3-day workshop for faculty development program in renewable energy future prospectus. Let me also thank the organizers for inviting me as a chief guest for the inaugural function of the workshop. Friends, whenever we think of non-conventional or renewable energy, we think of mainly wind energy and solar energy. Everyone knows why wind and solar energy is so important for the mankind because of the diminishing resources of the ingredients required for producing electricity by the conventional methods of thermal power stations by coal, hydropower stations by water, nuclear energy by uranium, etc., etc. Electricity generated anywhere by any means needs to be transmitted and distributed by erecting tall towers and at very long distances. Also, there are huge losses in transmission and distribution. It is said that the amount of electricity generated at the source, that is at a power plant, while it reaches your home, it's hardly 25 to 30%. There are huge losses. The electricity generated by wind or solar power needs to be either transmitted through the grid or required to be stored in batteries. The life and cost of batteries for storing devices is very, very high and needs to be replaced quite often. Friends, to overcome all these huge, costly, conventional methods of producing electricity, as well as the limitations of the renewable or non-conventional energy. Because for wind, what we need is the duration of the wind, speed of the wind, and availability of the wind. Similarly, for solar, even though in our tropical country like India, though there is sunlight for about 10 to 12 hours, but the most effective charging time is hardly 5.5 to 6 hours. Friends, if we can have sunlight for 24 hours, all 365 days, irrespective of weather conditions, seasons like rainy season, winter season, etc., how would it be? It would be the most impressive thing and a required thing. Stephen Hawking, you must have heard the name of this great scientist. He had made a prediction a few years ago that this planet Earth will not be a viable place for human race to live in. He had given two reasons for that. The first reason was the global warming, the climate conditions, pollution, etc. And second was about the diminishing and vanishing resources. So what to do? We have to have some solution for these two. So if this place is not viable to live in, so we have to go to some other place. So we have to go to the space, maybe on different planets like Moon, Mars, etc. Or we have to acquire these resources from the space, maybe from Moon, Mars, Venus, or asteroids, etc. But we can overcome these difficulties of energy because the energy requirement is going to be tremendous in future. The recent development in renewable energy sector in solar power is to get electricity from the space, called as space solar power. Because there is no day and night. In space, you get 24 hours of sunlight of constant density, intensity. So there is no variation. This space solar power is the most encouraging thing for us, for the engineers. How do we get this space solar power? As on Earth, we have solar panels installed on the terrace or in an open farm, and then that generates electricity, and we either transmit it to the grid or we store it in the batteries. Same thing. So an array of solar cells are installed in space, which will make electricity from the sun's energy. Then we can't have a grid from space to the Earth by installing any towers in space or getting wire or anything. So we have to have a wireless transmission. So how it can be done? The electricity generated in the space by solar cells will be converted to a microwave beam. Then that beam will be transmitted to the Earth, and then that beam will again be converted back to electricity. Just as we generate electricity by wind or solar, and then we convert that DC to AC, or to store in batteries, we convert it from AC to DC, and for our regular use, we convert it from DC to AC through inverter. So we will have these microwave beam converters placed on the Earth. The capacity of the solar cells, because of the constant intensity of the sunlight in space, unobstructed, is more than 7 times compared to the Earth. So 7 times more energy in space per unit area as compared to the ground is available. And it avoids the need for expensive energy storage as well as energy transmission, distribution, etc., etc. Because most of the cost factor in transmission and distribution is very, very high. Now, this is done by economically viable solar power satellites. I can show you how this can be done. So I can show you, if you can see. Can you see this photo? Hello?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes,
Can
sir.
you see this photo?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is the satellite installed in space, and it has solar cells mounted on that, and it is generating electricity, and that electricity will be transmitted to microwave beam to the Earth. So an almost unlimited source of energy. the sun produces 1 to 10 trillion times. Trillion, 1,000 billion is 1 trillion, trillion times the amount of energy currently used by humanity. It is said that the energy generated by space solar power in one day is more than sufficient for 365 days requirement on the earth. Environmentally, it is benign. Beam is not a problem. Even naked humans can walk through. Birds can fly through. Almost zero carbon dioxide is produced by these microwave beams. Now, energy independence because of this. Every country is spending billions of dollars on oil imports and other resources to generate electricity. So, if any country, say India or America or any other country, if they have, as we have communication satellites to transmit the our TV channels and other things, TV shows. Similarly, electricity will be beamed, and it can be sold. It will be generated in space. It will be made available on the earth, and it will be sold and beamed to any nation. America could become the world's largest energy exporter. And it will also generate a lot of employment. It will generate annual employment on the order of 50 lakhs individuals on the earth. And most important, that it is always predicted that the future wars are going to be the energy wars. So it will potentially, the energy wars will be avoided. Our Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir, our president, and I'm so proud to tell you that I was fortunate enough to work with him in our SLV3 project when I was in ISRO. The Kalam has initiated in 2010 this initiative of National Space Society Initiative and Kalam Initiative. This initiative is aimed at promoting a bilateral American and Indian space solar power program. This participation by other nations is also encouraged into that initiative. It is called as a Kalam Initiative. What are the long-run implications of this space solar power? The development of a solar power station in space will fundamentally change the way in which people exploit and obtain power. Whoever takes the lead in the development and utilization of clean and renewable energy and the space and aviation industry will be the world leader. So we have to catch up. We have to catch this opportunity. Actually, on the earth, when the microwave beam is coming from space and we have these converters, as we have got Tata Sky dish or other dish to get the TV signals, similarly, we will get that signal on the earth through dish. We will convert it. You can use it while traveling also, as we listen to radio or we watch the TV. So it will help run the electrical vehicles also, electrical trains also the aviation, and we will get rid of all the expensive things of transmission and distribution. So this is going to be the most revolutionary thing. As hardly 10 years ago, this concept of space solar power was initiated by Dr. Kalam and John Mankins of Artemis program of NASA. So friends, I wish you all the best and to explore this new concept of space solar power. I'm very sure that for these 3 days deliberations of this workshop, you will be very rich by knowledge, information, and will be very useful in your future career. Thank you very much, and I thank organizers once again for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable guidance and motivation. all of the participants will definitely be benefited through the insights. Now with this,
just a minute. I have got some recordings of the discussions as well as on the space solar power. I think I will give the links to Sonavane sir, and he may probably share it with you people, because this is going to be the most bright future for the engineers. Thank you.
Sure, sir. Thank you. So with this, we are towards the conclusion of the inaugural function. So I take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude towards chief guest for today's function, Mr. Avinash Shirode, sir. Thank you, sir, for accepting our request to be here as a chief guest. I also thank respected Principal and Education Officer of MVP Samaj, Dr. N.S. Patil, sir, and respected Vice Principal, Professor N.B. Desle, sir, for their presence and valuable guidance. I also thank all the speakers for this FDP, Dr. Brijesh Patel, sir, Dr. Naveen Srivastava, sir, and Dr. Sandeep Joshi, sir, for joining with us. And last but not the least, I thank all the participants for joining with us in this inaugural function. So with this and with the kind permission of all the dignitaries, I declare that this 3 days online FDP on renewable energy, a future prospectus, is now inaugurated. It's my kind request to all the participants to stay connected, and with this I hand over the proceedings to Professor R.S. Thackeray, sir, for the first technical session. Thank you. Over to you, Thackeray, sir.
Thank you, Kapse, sir. So I, Professor Thackeray, welcome you all for 3 days online faculty development program on renewable energy, a future prospectus. Now we have Dr. Brijesh Patel for session on wind energy, energy capabilities and applications. Our today's guest is well known for his research in unarmed aerial vehicle, composite material, industrial aerodynamics and turbomachinery. He has 6 national and 21 international and 1 patent on his name. Previously, he had served as Dean at School of Engineering and Information Technology, MATS University, Raipur. He was also member of IQAC cell for latest accreditation to obtain B++ grade. Now he is working as head of Aeronautical Engineering and IT, MATS University, Raipur. Now I would like to request Dr. Brijesh Patel to start with his session.
Thank you very much, Thackeray sir. That is a great topic which the organizers have found out, renewable energy, a future prospect. But I agreed that it's not a future process, it's now a present prospect. We have to go for it in a present scenario and adopt these things in a large scale. And I'm very thankful to KBT College of Engineering, Dr. N.S. Patil sir, A. Kapse sir, Dr. N.B. Desle sir, for giving me an opportunity to give my expertise or give my talk on this topic which the world is going through. So today's my topic is wind energy capabilities and its application. So wind energy, everyone knows that it's a wind turbine placed everywhere, the wind is blowing, but how it comes, from where it comes. So our agenda today, the lecture is origin of wind, that how the wind is generated, introduction to wind energy, history of wind energy, that how it started, how it's growing, the development of wind energy, introduction to wind turbines, types of wind turbines and its working, wind turbine design, wind energy status in India, future trends of wind energy. What are the innovations, and like Shirode sir told that we are going to the space satellite solar cells. So here also some wind energy is going on in a greater task. New and new concepts are coming day by day. So we'll discuss the future trends of wind energy so that many of them can go to the research in that field. So first, what is the wind actually? We are having the air movement. The air movement across our earth, if the horizontal air movement is going on, this is called actually the wind. Wind is the horizontal movement of air along the earth's surface. There are other two movements, that is your air current and the circulation. Now, what are the types of winds generally blows through our globe? So that are the first one is your planetary wind. Planetary wind always blows in the same direction all around the world as they are prevailing on the permanent wind. These planetary winds only we are using for the wind turbine. Trade winds, the subdivision of the planetary winds are the trade winds, westerly winds, and the polar winds. Generally, trade winds blow from subtropical high pressure belt towards the equator from the northeast trade. Westerly winds are the second one, which are the blow from the subtropical high pressure belt towards 60 degrees south and 60 degree north altitude. And the third is the polar, from polar high pressure to subpolar low pressure areas. These are the planetary winds which blows in the same direction all over the world throughout the season. The second one is your periodic winds. These winds know to blow for a certain time in the certain direction. It may be a part of a day or a particular year. So the first example is like you have seen in the which areas are in the seashore. They are having a sea breeze at and rise the warm. This is land and the sea breeze. This concept is your periodic wind. It may be a part of a day. Similarly, monsoons. Similarly, the periodic winds known for the another one is the part of a year. Like monsoons come, mountain and breezes, which valley and the mountains, they are having at the daylight and sunlight a different wind directions and the wind flows. So these are the periodic winds which maybe depends on the day or along throughout the season of a year. And the third one is the local wind. The local wind means it, some of the places having, due to the geographical conditions, there blow a special local winds or like hot wind, sea and breeze, cold wind like mistral, northers. These are the local winds like in Rajasthan we call it the Loo, or a hot wind blow throughout the season of the hot season. Some in the Loo formation are blowing in hotter region, summer seasons. So these are the local winds. In every area, every region, some of the, due to the geographical conditions of that area or pressure gradient changes of that area, these local winds blow. So we are having a three types of the wind. One was the first is the planetary wind, the permanent wind. Second one is the periodic winds, and third one is the local wind. So these winds blow throughout the globe, and these winds, our ancestors have thought of using this wind as the source of energy, getting the source of energy from this wind. So how the wind is created? We have already discussed that what are the types of wind and what is wind actually. Now, how the wind is created? Pressure gradient force. The pressure gradient, the change in pressure measured across a given distance is called the pressure gradient force. How this change in pressure occurs? The change in pressure occurs due to the gravitational force of the earth. So this change in pressure occurs due to this gravitational force. There occurs a resulting pressure gradient force throughout the region. So these create the movement of the air and the speed of the wind. The second one is the Coriolis effect. Coriolis effect is that our earth is rotating and many objects like airplanes, winds, missile, ocean currents are rotating in a different direction. So due to this deflection of the objects through the wind or surface or rotational surface, the Coriolis effect comes. It comes due to the cost of Earth's rotation. This effect also causes some of the wind. And third one is the frictional force of the area. If some wind is going on and it hits some of the buildings, it again creates some different force, and that causes again and again, it causes some of the air blowing through it. So it also creates the wind. Now you have already seen that how the wind is created. Now we go for the wind pattern in India. In the wind pattern in India, in the summer season is from the Indian Ocean to the north side, and in the winter season, it goes from the north side to the south side. This is the wind pattern in India. What is the wind energy? Wind energy is produced by the movement of air and converted into power for human use. Wind has been a source of energy for more than 1,000 years, but was replaced by the fossil fuels. Much of the 20th century, this wind is making comeback and the source of electricity and power. As we know that our ancestors are using the wind energy always to grain the grains, and many of the to take the water from the from the well. Many of the things they are already using it, but when the fossil fuels come into the existence, they have stopped using that thing, and again this fossil fuel is going to exist. So we are again using the same wind energy again, and many developments has been come to this to use this wind energy. The first windmill was for the production of electricity was built in the Scotland, and so the first windmill wind energy was built in the Scotland, and now the first water windmill has also they've developed. Right? We'll go in the last slide. We'll get that how the recent advancement has Scotland has done. So it is in 1887 by Professor James Blair. Now the wind energy conversion systems. There are the two systems. Many of the confused are the mechanisms which convert wind energy directly into the mechanical energy, such as for milling the grain, for pumping water, or usually purpose of the windmills, as we can see in the farms. So this pumping water, I have generally, we are starting a project, one of my PhD candidates is doing it. We have started to find out a solution, like many of the animals, wild animals, come to the, they want the water in the summer. So what they are doing it, they are going to go to the place where the water is there, and the hunting takes place of the many animals. So we can place this type of wind, small wind turbines in the jungle areas and make a well, so that water can be in the interior. They cannot move in the summer season here and there, so they can use it. So we can have developed this type of systems in the jungle of Chhattisgarh, where many hunting trips take place. So the first one is the windmill, and the second is the wind turbine. Wind turbine directly converts the wind energy into the electrical energy by the use of electrical equipment, stored batteries, and it is transmitted through the overpower line. So now we move on to the history of the wind application. Wind energy has a past history. From about 4000 BC, Chinese were the first to attach sails to primitive rafts from the oracle bone inscription. The ancient Chinese scripted on the turtle shell in Shang dynasty from 1600 BC to 1046 BC. These ancient Chinese characters means it is sail in ancient Chinese, often appeared in the Han dynasty. So these are they are using a cloth and they are moving through the their ships towards sailing to the seaside, and multi-sail junks also to the South Sea, approximately carrying 700 people with 260 tons of cargo in the early ages, when the most of the technological development was not there, turbines was not there to propel the ships like recent days we are having. So they are having, so see, wind energy applications are having from a large area and from the past area. Now China has a long history of using windmills also. They are using the windmills which had been in the Han dynasty at Changyol city. So they are, now the pictures are there of the windmills of past season. So these shows that we are approximately using the wind energy from our ancient using from the past years. means past years is to approximately 25 to 2020 AD, means last 2000 years. So we are now concentrating again on the wind energy. So we have to develop the technological advancement which they have left it to save our fuels for the future generations. And the past windmills was the post mill. This first picture is of the post mill, smoke mill, Dutch mill, and the fan mill. This has been developed in the Netherlands, Denmark, based on the improvements of the post mill. These are the ancient windmills which has already been developed and named it. And history of wind energy. That was the windmills which can use for the drawing water or milling the grains. But what about energy? When we started of generating electricity from the windmill. So this was the first wind, with the picture is showing it is the first windmill or wind turbine in the world, which was designed by Charles Brush in 1888. And it is having a 144 cedar blades. This is the cedar blades, which are having 144 cedar blades, having a 17 meter of diameter, and it generates a peak power of 12 kilowatts to charge the batteries that supply DC current to lamps and electric motors. So this was the first wind turbine which was developed in 1888. See, a long gap was there from 2580 to 1888. We have got through the use of wind energy to generate electricity, as electricity was not initiated at that time or not discovered at that time. So history of wind energy applications from this Charles Brush design in 1888 to the latest three-bladed wind turbine in 1950s. See, from 88 to 15, 70 years it takes from that cedar blade wind turbine to today's modern wind farm, which was based on the concept of Getzer wind turbine. And it is operating a relatively high wind speeds for power output to several megawatts. One more good applications was also there, which I have found it, that Hero's wind power organ. This music instrument has been used to play with the wind energy. So this is the Hero's wind power organ. Now it comes to the latest wind turbine techniques. What are the types of wind turbines? This was we have already discussed about what is the wind. Secondary, we have already discussed about the history of the wind, how it comes, what are the various capabilities of the wind in the last 2000 years, from the back 2000 years. Now we will discuss about the types of wind. As I know that all the faculties must know various types of wind turbines, but we'll go through some of the details and how it is created and what are its applications towards. So we are having the two types of wind turbine. That one is the vertical axis wind turbine and second one is the horizontal axis wind turbine. In India or in the world, generally we are using horizontal axis wind turbine as most of the cases. Horizontal axis wind turbine. A wind turbine in which the rotor's rotation is parallel to the wind stream. Rotor's rotation is parallel to the wind stream and the ground. All the grids connected to commercial wind turbines today are built with a propeller type rotor on a horizontal axis. Horizontal axis wind turbines have the main rotor shaft and the electrical generator at the top of the tower and may be pointed into or out of the wind. Small turbines are pointed by a simple wind vane, which large turbines generally use the wind sensors or with a servo motor. Horizontal axis wind turbines are subdivided into the upwind wind turbines and the downwind wind turbines. So these are the horizontal axis wind turbines. Here the axis is horizontal to the rotor's rotation. The second one is the vertical axis wind turbine. You can see already that the blade of the axis of the rotation, it is vertically from the ground, so that it is perpendicular to the wind stream and the ground. A vertical axis wind turbine, main rotor shaft is set vertical and the main component are located at the base of the turbine. Generally, vertical axis wind turbine falls into the two categories. One is the Dorus turbines, which is the lift force, and another one is the Stevinus turbines, which is a drag force. Neither type of these wind turbines are used today because vertical axis wind turbines are only for the research purpose, and somewhere we are using it. Like many of the projects we have seen that where vertical axis wind turbine are installed in the dividers of the road. Some cars are moving for that air, due to that air, moving of the car, a frictional air is produced. That air rotates the vertical axis wind turbine. But it's only as a research and development because the costing is high and the output of getting the power output is low for the vertical axis wind turbine. Type of wind turbines, we already discussed. This is the horizontal axis wind turbine. Here the blade pitch system, yaw system and gearbox and the container. This 1, 2, 3, 4 we have written the parts. Blade pitch system is there. Pitch of the blade can be set it. The yaw system, the motor or yaw can be changed to the direction of the wind according to the direction of the wind. And the gearbox is there and a generator is there. In the vertical axis wind turbine, a lower axis wind turbine, we are having a gearbox and a generator at the downward bottom of it. Here the pitching of the blades is not there because the blade is almost twisted and it's in the fixed stage. Now we'll go to the wind turbine mechanism, that's how wind farms are developed. This is a special three-bladed wind turbine. In the base of the wind tower, here are your conventional supply boxes or the battery systems which can store the energy. These are the staircases for moving up to the top of for the maintenance purposes. This is it is a backside generator for the wind turbine, which has having a generator and a motor to rotate the shaft. And this having the yaw mechanism if we go to the back, this is the yaw mechanism. Here is the yaw mechanism also, so that if a wind direction can change, we can change the turbine directions also. We can change the turbine directions also. This is called the yaw mechanism for the wing. We can also change the blade pitch angle of the blade. In the next slide, we'll see how blades create the wind energy or how it creates the wind energy. This is a general description for it. Constantly nowadays they are having these towers are having a multi-story system, and most of the batteries are stored inside also. So the pictures doing the maintenance at the wind turbine. That was the mechanism for vertical axis wind turbine, as we have seen in the picture and in an animated video. all the parts of the wind turbine. And now go for the vertical axis wind turbine. It's having the blades. These blades are of aerofoil shape and having a strut. The shaft is connected, and downward it's the generator is connected downward. As we understand that what is the structural form of the wind turbines. These are both the slides are the structural form of the wind turbines. But you know the rotation of the wind rotation, we will get the energy. Here it is a spade gearbox, whatever already seen in the video. The gearbox was there, the nacelle was there, another generator was there, and these are the blades, and it was the hub. These and the controllers and power converter are installed in the tower. These power gives directly to the grid, power energy directly to the grid. Otherwise, they can stored in the battery systems at outside, or nowadays many of the tower systems are also using inbuilt battery system installed in the tower itself, or a battery stored at the outside of the system. How the wind energy power is distributed from production to a line, means end user. And what is the latest technology of power distributing? See, many of the things happen that this wind energy, somewhat this wind is not blowing from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Then what happens? It cannot give direct supply to the grid. So nowadays what they are doing, they are making a battery storage system. From there, we can continuously supply to the grid from various wind farms. Nowadays, wind, it's not a alone wind system, it's a wind farm. Many of the wind farms connected to a battery hubs, they can directly supply to the grid from that hub. So we are having a channel of wind farms. Now the concept of wind mill is wind energy system is not there. It's the concept of wind farms, where most of the, like in solar also, we are having a solar farm which can produce continuously produce the energy. So here also wind farms are located. So this is the concept of wind farms. This all the wind farms comes to the hub. Comes to the hub. From hub, it is directly supplied to the grid. So the yellow lines goes that how the energy is supplied. And from the power plants also, we are supplying to here to the grid. But the latest techniques which we are using is the battery storage system. The wind energy also giving direct supply to the from the grid, but it also recharges the battery. As in industry, we want more voltage. So how you can provide the more voltage? So here the fast response batteries and the slow response batteries are installed to the backup system. These give additional energy to the supplies. When the wind is also in a low condition or wind is a high condition, also they were stored, and that if some industries needed additional energy or high voltage systems, so here also from battery they will directly supply to the energy. So nowadays the system is also changed. It cannot give directly to the energy and gives the continuous supply of energy to the wind farm. Now there is a small comparison of horizontal axis wind turbine and the vertical axis wind turbine. Power generation efficiency is 50 to 60% in the horizontal axis wind turbine, and it gives about 70% in the vertical axis wind turbine. But also we are not using it. It gives more efficient. Steering mechanism of wind is yes. Steering mechanism means yawing mechanism for the wind. If the wind blows from some other direction, we can move the wind turbine to that direction. So yawing mechanism is yes. Here no yawing mechanism is there because it is installed from the center of the axis. Blade rotation speed is quite large. Here the blade rotation speed is quite small. So if large blade rotation is there, it can produce the large amount of energy. Wind resistance capacity is big. Wind resistance capacity is small. Noise is 5 to 60 decibel. Here noise is very low, from 0 to 10 decibel. Starting wind speed is very high. Failure rate is high. Here the failure rate is low. Maintenance is complicated. Maintenance is convenient. Rotating speed is high. Rotating speed is low. Effect of on birds is the great area effect, because it is a very it's placed at a heighted or mounted at a very high height. Here the effect of birds are small, but also we are using horizontal axis wind turbines in a large scale. It's due to the steering mechanism of the wind, mainly due to the steering mechanisms of wind and producing the high amount of energy. So this was the comparison of horizontal. Know the structure of horizontal axis wind turbine, vertical axis wind turbine. Now we'll go through some of the how the wind turbines used and how the wind is created in a numerical way or in a theoretical way. You know that the pressure is equal to half rho A VQ. Power is generated in the wind is correlated with 1/1. The power of the wind is generated to half density area into the velocity. Area means swept area by the rotor. Sorry. Turbine output drives. Wind economics and output is a strong function of wind. Wind speed, as the wind speed increases, the height above the ground, power is equal to half air density area into wind speed the cube. When the height increases, the wind energy also increases, as because in the ground state there are many obstacles and wind is blocked. So that's why wind mills are placed, or wind turbines are placed at a very high height. And now we go for the aerodynamical performance of the wind turbine that we want to study. What are the design aspects of it? So wind turbine design aspects, we are having three design aspects for the wind turbine. That these design aspects we should know to design a wind turbine. The first one is the aerodynamical performance, the performance of the blade of the wing. Second was the mechanical strength criteria. See, where many of the times you can go for a high wind blow, or some of the region very high wind blows. We have already seen that some of the houses or some of the roof of the houses has been taken out. So due to this, because it is a natural phenomena, we cannot assume that this wind will create or not create, or this high wind shall give. We can know that this time it will happen, but we cannot reinstall or dismantle our wind turbine and keep safe. This we cannot do it every time. So the mechanical strength criteria should be high. And third one is the economical aspect, because each and every design, each and every thing depends on this economical aspect. So for aerodynamical shape, first criteria for aerodynamical analysis, we can have the number of blades, the blade shape, blade length, and the tower height. This is the determination of number of why we are using why we are not using the 2 blade or 1 blade or 5 blades or 8 blades. So this depends on the design and the efficiency criteria. As we know that we increase the blades, the efficiency will increase, but it will also give the complications towards the structural strength or the complication towards the economical aspect. So we want to optimize that how much all the factors should give to take the efficiency as the optimum parameter. So we are having 2 blade turbine where the efficiency is 3%. If we go for a 3 blade turbine, we get the efficiency more increases to 5%. If you go for a 5 bladed, 6 bladed, 7 bladed, the efficiency will increase, and then the cost will also increase. So that's why I told you that we can have the economical wise parameter. These the first 3 parameters should satisfy and should optimize for all the criteria while designing a wing blade or design or a wind turbine design. And this is the concept for the blade design. That what are the parameters we should select for the blade design? Aerodynamically, a thinner blade versus with a good structural strength. It should be thin. It should be have a good structural state. Thick root to withstand the axial load, because if a root is not thick, it will break down. So it should have a thick root to get the axial load. This is the wind blows from weather direction. And these are the small, actually the wind blade has been designed by bifurcating it. These are having a small aerofoil section. Like as in the aircraft wing also have a small aerofoil section. And these aerofoil sections create actually lift. These lift create the blade to move forward. So it will move forward and it will rotate. And when it will rotate, it can convert into the electrical energy through the generators placed at the top of the or at the end of the turbine. The lift force created and it is having also a tangentially drag force. As we know that it is the angle of attack. Angle of attack is the angle created between the stream normal line and the wind striking line. So whenever the wind strike line, this angle is your angle of attack. See, if we increase the angle of attack, if we increase the angle of attack, the lift will also increase. The angle of attack increases, the lift will also increase, but up to a certain parameter. Because if we increase more angle of attack, what it will go parallel to the wind flow direction. So it will go parallel to the wind flow direction, then there will be no lift created, so there will be no movement of air. Achieving optimum angle of attack across the cross section, continuous twisting is required due to because all the aerofoils having the different angle of attack. So what the researchers or what the design criteria should do? So what the design has done, what the designers has done, they have twisted the blade. They have twisted the blade. So everywhere the angle of attack is being different. So if we go through the wind direction, if it will change its direction, then also the blade will continuously following it and it will continuously giving the rotational effect. That's why I also told you that nowadays wind turbines are having the pitch control mechanism. Pitch control mechanism means the blade can change its pitch. The blade can change its pitch. So if we change the pitch, the angle of attack also changes of each and every section. So this also gives another criteria to fulfill and to get the maximum efficiency. And many of the algorithms presently we are working through and already developed for this change of pitching according to the wind directions flow where it is installed. If some wind farm is installed, they have gone through a year database that how the wind conditions are going through it, how it flows from, how the permanent wind flows on there throughout the year. So there they install, these conditions are throughout the year, they check it, then only they install the wind turbine there and they make an algorithm to change this pitch. If a wind is blowing to another direction, it will automatically change its pitch and that algorithms work. So we now software engineering is also playing an important role for the new wind turbine or for the renewable energy sources. The third one is the blade length. as the length increases, it is directly proportional to the power. As we cannot increase more length because over deflection of the blade also occurs, and the problem of the noise also occurs. And as we can increase the blade length, we'll get the power more, but problem of investment and problem of transporting that blade from a manufacturer to location, it is also a huge task. And the power output, tower height also plays an important role, because as the tower height is more and more, we get clean and efficient wind. Because if the height is not more, all the winds are going through some trees or some things, the energy is losing it. The wind which is having a high energy wind, they are losing their power. So when it strikes to the blade, it gives a very low power or low rotational speed. Now we have gone through what are the design aspects of wind turbine. Previously we have gone through the design aspects of wind turbine. So we are having 3 design aspects: aerodynamical, efficiency, and economical. So that was the design aspect: blade length, height, pitching of the blade, implementation of the software algorithms for auto pitching of the blade. So now we'll go through that, how this wind turbine, on which law the energy is created. So already we know that the kinetic energy is there. One-dimensional analysis will show that from the kinetic energy. So Vi is the inlet velocity and V is the exit velocity. And we assume that the wind turbine rotation, this circumference is act as a disc, or this 3 blade is act as a disc. And total velocity will be your inlet plus exit velocity divided by 2. So the mass flow rate which flows through this is rho A Vi plus V by 2, half rho A V. So this will be rho A V, mass flow rate from this. Now from the knowledge theorem, we can go for the one-dimensional analysis of this. This is the inlet velocity and here is the exit velocity. So the power will be your mv square, mass flow rate into v square. Mass flow rate already we have discussed, v plus v square, and power is your half vi square minus v square by 2. So this is the power. And now the optimum velocity, from here we can find out with the power with respect to v upon vi. V is your exit velocity and vi is your inlet velocity. This is 1/3 of the, means exit velocity is 1/3 of the inlet velocity. Means after going through it, it is 1/3 of inlet velocity, because velocity is consumed by these rotational discs. So if we substitute it in the equations, so maximum power will be this one. This is your power output. It's 8 by 27 rho A V inlet cube. This is your power input. So power output, and this is your power input is your half mv square, vi square, means this is your inlet power. This is inlet power. So the efficiency, what we will get it, efficiency will be output by input. Efficiency, what we will get if we divide this both the equations, efficiency will get this 59.26%. Means maximum efficiency for a wind turbine, 3-bladed wind turbine, on ideal case, because many assumptions we have taken it here, that this is a disc. This means it is having an infinite number of blades. So these are having the infinite number of blades. These assumptions we have taken, and we have got that 59.26% is the maximum efficiency of 3-bladed wind turbine. And this law is known as Bland's law limit. Now I think you understand that what is the actually concept behind the wind turbine, how it flows, and what is the maximum efficiency of wind turbine, how it is calculated. So typical wind turbine size are generally, this I am giving that for the knowledge, that typical, what is the typical wind turbine size? 1.3 to 1.8 megawatt rated capacity. Rotor diameter is 60 to 80 meters. Tower height is 60 to 80 meters. Turbine footprint is 10 meter to 10 meter. Lowest ground clearance is at least 100 feet. So this is the total approximate 100 feet for the year. It is up to 200 and to 230 feet for the when the blade goes up, because calculate the blade area. How different wind turbine blade length? See, the blade length of maximum up to 120 meters are nowadays is coming, which is almost equal to a Boeing 747 of root to tip, or axis of the wing, axis of the wings of the Boeing 747. Previously it was 50 meters. It gives the 7.5 megawatt. It's 66 meters. Second one is giving the 1.5 megawatt. In this case, we can see that the scaling of the wind turbine increases as per the design aspect, and also increases the power output, like up to 5 megawatt. Means we have now gone to the 120 meters design aspect, or we have optimized our design parameters and get the maximum power output of 5 megawatts. It might be increased in other few 5 to 7 years. It goes to 180 meters, or already it is in 180 meters blade in process. So it goes to 200 meters, 300 meters, and we can get power output of 10, 15, 20 megawatt in a single wind turbine. And how the wind energy saves the environment. This slide should be in the first, that how the wind energy saves in the environment. Energy used in the wind power accounts for 67% of air emissions of SO2, the primary cause of acid rain. SO2 causes acidification of lakes, damage to the forest and other habitats. So if we go for a wind power, or if we go for a renewable sources of energy, this percentage will be 0. 25% of NOx, which causes smoke and respiratory elements. If we go for at least, because industrial waste will also, this calculation is also there from that. So 25% of the NOx will be in the lower direction. 33% of mercury will be less, 0, going to the 0 if we go for a wind energy. So it saves a lot for the environment. It saves a lot for the future. It's not we are going for a renewable energy sources to get that we have a fossil fuel are existing, to also save the environment from these elements which is created by our power plants, industrial. So if we go for a clean energy, we can save this percentage, and we can make this percentage into a 0. We don't want this percentage. It is not good for human health. What we are thinking, we want actually what is the concept of everything, electricity, or concept of everything. It's only one concept: to get comfort, to get human comfort. That's the concept. If we, for the human comfort, we go for a good health, we have to lower these percentages. By applying this energy, by applying clean energy through renewable sources, we can get this percentage to be lower down to 0. So wind energy benefits are no air emissions, no fuel to mine, transport to stay, no cooling water, no water pollution, no waste. This is the clean energy, because once we install it, install and forget. Only the maintenance part is there. Some maintenance thing is there. We have installed one thing. When the blade will be hit by birds, that causes many things. That was again a conceptual and a design aspect, because hitting the because nowadays these blades are manufactured of composite materials. So by hitting the birds to it, it gives damage to the blade. And if a blade is damaged, turbine will be unbalanced. So again it has to change the blade or to make the blade, but then also it gives a long-term benefit. And this is a slide which I have given to 2016-17. What are the wind energy installation in India? Up to 2002, we are only having 1666 wind turbines installed in India. But in 2016-17, the graph goes to 27,441 wind turbines. See, huge development in India. As the installed capacity on 31/7/2016. Last 17-18 years, this was the development from 2000 to 27,441. So this was a huge development in India, but it goes mainly in the last 5 years. India's scenario on renewable energy, waste energy is not more, it's almost 2 to 0%. Solar energy is 13%. Biomass power is also in 11%. Small hydropowers are 11%. And maximum of wind power is of 65%. So wind energy production in India, according to states, Tamil Nadu is the highest wind energy producer. Second is the Gujarat, which is the secondary. Third is the Maharashtra. Then Karnataka, Rajasthan. As these states have seen that potential of wind across their region. Every state cannot install the wind capacity due to the wind blowing situations. Otherwise, they will install it, but they cannot get maximum output through. So mainly these states have installed the wind capacity. The red mark is the wind energy distribution across the India. Wind energy utilization in India. Generally, Tamil Nadu is having a 19.4. Already we have discussed that. Now this already Sir sir also told that India has having a wind energy mission, and its target up to 60 gigawatt by 2020 means 37 gigawatt in the next 7 years. They are already having a main target. Utility scale onshore wind is 58,000 megawatts. Offshore wind is 1500 megawatts. Distributed power is 500 megawatts. So this is the target by 2022, 60 megawatts. They want 60 gigawatt to be produced by the wind energy. So this is the National Wind Energy Mission from the Government of India. But still, our mission is this. We are having installed capacity of this much, 65% of the wind energy from renewable sources. Then also in a global wind energy production, in top 10 countries, we are not standing it. So we have to go more and more R&D in the wind energies, more and more database collection across the various places of India, because many of the atmospheric conditions are there, but we have not looked into it till date. So we know that we will grow through it as the fossil fuel is going to extend day by day, or we have to save the fossil fuels for future generations. So we'll start working on it and making sure of every area should be identified where the periodic winds, where the permanent wind flows, to get our name into the global wind energy production. Now already I have discussed you that what is the future of wind energy. In India, we have seen that wind energy is installed on the land, but our boundaries are having 3 sides from the sea, and we have not used it. So you can look up the video what the Scotland has done, where the first windmill was installed. Because first windmill was installed in Scotland. A Norwegian enterprise has started this thing. This is the new remarkable wind farm concept. It is built on the sea. So the technology, where it goes, many of the scientists are working on it. They have proved it. That's why I told in the starting of slide, Ryoka sir told that we are going for solar satellites and getting the power from it. So now we are giving the future of wind energy into the sea. We are installing the wind turbines in the sea and get 24 hours directly wind from there. So my conclusion for this all things is that we should go for wind energy or a renewable source of energy to insurance against our conventional fossil fuel price risk. No greenhouse, no gas emissions, no sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, or mercury emissions. So this no, and this insurance against the fossil-based price risk. So we have to go for a renewable energy, and wind power is a future prospect and a present prospect for getting the good quality and clean energy. Thank you very much. In case any questions or any queries are there, you can ask me.
Sir, there are some questions in chat box.
Okay.
Should I read?
You can read or you can have.
Okay, sir. Some people says that increasing number of windmills in the particular area has decreased the monsoon in that particular area. Is it true?
No. It's not like that. Monsoon does not depend on that area's wind. It's not like that. It's not true.
Okay, fine, sir. There is another question. Airflow at the blades is not the same as that of the airflow far away from turbine. So how does it affect on power produced by wind turbine?
So airflow at the blades is not the same as that of airflow far away from the. See, far away from the wind turbine means a wind is blowing. It is getting a contact to the blade. Means the wind is striking to the blade, because blade is not a parallel thing. Blade is it's a number of aerofoil sections are compiled and form a blade, and these blade is also in a twisted form. So the twisting angles also having a more impact. If we go through a detail that why twist is implemented on the wind blade, and we calculate in a CFD analysis of the flow through the twisted blades and through the plain blades, we can know many of the, if someone is having the wind CFD analysis to be done in a flat blade and a twisted blade, they can see that the analysis will give you that how the twisted blade will occur, where the pressure changes in the blade occurs in the twisted region.
Okay, sir. There is another question related to Hg. Can you explain 33% of Hg in more detail?
33% of mercury. This was the database actually. Hg means that was from the database SO2 and Hg. Mercury, they once asked the mercury. This is a database from the I've taken from references through the atmospheric regions from the areas where SO2, nitrogen oxide, or a mercury level where the industrialization is more. There gives the 33% of the Hg in the particles, Hg particles in the area.
Okay, sir. There is one question related to wind turbine.
Solidity.
Related to solidity, yes. Sir, what is solidity of wind turbine and what are the effects on the drag and lift forces?
See, solidity factor is there. Already we are in the Blend's law that the wind turbine, it gives, we are assuming it. Just a minute. We are assuming it because it is a performance mainly in the vertical axis wind turbine. The solidity factor always affects mainly in the vertical axis wind turbine, and it is a relation between the blade area and the swept area. Blade area and the swept area. Like that, we are already consider blade area to be a solid disk area where all the air are assuming. So that gives you the 59%. But actual conditions are somewhat different. So we are getting the 34 to 35% or 40% up to the energy.
Okay, sir. How the power distribution is done if the wind turbine is installed in the sea?
No, that will be through a cables, because all the wind turbines are installed in the sea. It will have a cable change, like here also what we are doing. We are having a wind farm and the transmission lines are there. So we have to get the transmission lines from the sea to the land area. The transmission line has to be installed, which is already installed in the Scotland. They have developed this transmission line across with the cabling through the sea. Already for the fossil fuels also, for the gas lines also, we have developed the pipelines in the deep sea to the land area or a seashore area. So it is possible to get transmission lines from the sea to the land area. Yeah, wind turbines are the noisy. It's not too much. If the noise is there, but noise is when very high wind strikes to the surface. Many houses also, if we are not having a aerodynamic design of the house, what happens? That's why the green building concept comes. If a green building concept comes, we have to also design the house through the aerodynamic parameters, so that if a wind strikes to it, the noisy part will be occur, because it will have a circulation effect. This will create the noise generally. Yeah, there are many limitations of the wind turbine. That's why I told that we are not installed wind turbines in anywhere in India, because that should be a permanent wind to blow in that area. First is that. Second is that the wind turbine installation is high, but it gives a long-term benefit. Like in solar also, the installation is high. The economical installation is high in wind turbine. Everyone cannot do it. Nowadays in many of the Indian companies are not to the wind energy, but some of the foreign investments are coming to the wind energy, like Suzlon and more are there. It affects on the marine life, because wind energy in the sea, we cannot install the wind turbines into the deep sea. Actually, we are not installing into the deep sea. What we are installing the wind turbine in nearby places to some of the islands, nearby places to some of the seashore areas, so that there cannot be, because we are having ports in that area. It is also damaging to the marine life. But after installation or after permanent installation, because when the installation is going on, it will really harm to the marine life, but not in that level, because we have already prepared everything in the land. Then only we supply that into, and it is a buoy. It is not digging some land in or some downfall in the deep sea. We are only having a buoy which have installed this turbine, and it floats on the surface of the sea. Any more questions?
Question related to site selection.
Yeah, site selection. Site selection, that also told you that permanent winds or the local winds which blow throughout the year. The site selection where the wind blows throughout the year. we have to select that side. That's why offshore winds and the inshore winds are there. There are two types of wind installations are there. We can have offshore, means in the seashore side, we can install the wind, because there the periodic winds will also there. It will from day to night it will flow. So there are the offshore wind, inshore wind installation. Both the questions are for the site selection. For the research work, that's only I have told you that we can have like a very natural thing, and we can go for a project related to small wind turbines. Small wind turbines, which is of having low economical in size, and go for a research through that. Like everyone is installing solar panel in their top rooftops. So we can have a small wind turbines to be installed at the rooftops. So this is the research areas for the scope for the PhD students. Another research areas are that we can also make a hybrid type of systems. Solar wind, this already has someone has given Sridhar Dangle. Some hybrid type of systems can also be installed. And for getting in jungles, I have already discussed with you that my team is that we can have the animal to be protected from hunting. We can have develop a small wind turbine and install in the jungle to a very height, which can dig the water from there, so that throughout the year some water will be flown and it will fill the tanks situated there. So this can be done as a project area for nearby jungles, and local agency can support it for the development of things. I have sent you the mail ID in the chat box, so that any queries will be there, or some books you want, you can mail me. I will send you the books. Thakurji, that's all for today.
Yes, sir. Fine, sir.
Okay, sir. Sir, before that, let me take one or two participants. They are very much eager to know about any approximate cost. Like in our solar power plant, we are saying that for 1 kilowatt capacity, we require around 80,000 rupees, like that. Okay, that is generally known to people. But about the wind, can you specify some cost rates?
Wind energy, it's not the we cannot have a single costing system for 1 megawatt, because it's dependent on wind farm systems.
Okay.
Solar energy will get the sunlight for 5 to 6 hours, but it's not possible that single wind, because the wind turbines cost in 60-70 lakhs of single wind turbine. Approximate costing is 70 to 80 lakhs for a single wind turbine. It's not have that single wind turbine to be installed for a single person. We can have a wind farm, and it will be a simple concept as like a power plant to get the continuous energy.
Yes.
But that's why I have told you that in PhD we can go for a research of small wind turbine.
Yeah.
That's
right. Yes, I think one of the factors may be, like you have said, 70 to 80 lakhs, means that is a huge cost, and that may be the limitation of going for the power generation, right? Means like solar has expanded its business because of its easy use in on-roof technology. That is not possible with wind turbine. Probably the PhDs or the research in small wind turbines can solve this issue in future, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, so I think this has clarified the doubts, well, yes. And regarding books, definitely.
I have mailed in the chat box. You can ask for the books. I will send you the books. No problem for that. Yes. Industrial, because we are also having notes on industrial aerodynamics. Actually, it is a part of an aeronautical engineering. One subject is there, industrial aerodynamics.
Okay.
There we will discuss about there we can discuss about the aerodynamic factor on the buildings, on the cars, aerodynamics of cars, hovercraft. So these are the parts of wind turbines. These are the part of industrial aerodynamics.
And
it's a very good subject.
For participants, let me tell you that during MTech course also for thermal engineering or like heat power engineering, there was one book which we have referred, that is by Professor G.D. Rai. The G.D. Rai is a very basic fundamentals consisting of this the wind energy. So we have referred that the book by G.D. Rai. So that also can be referred by the participants. If you want
many renewable energy books are there in the market.
Yes.
Many renewable energy gives the details about the wind turbine.
Yes, definitely. Okay, sir. Thank you very much for your session. Let me take this opportunity on behalf of Department of Mechanical Engineering of MUP Samajas KBT College of Engineering, Nashik. I take this opportunity to thank our today's speaker, Dr. Brijesh Patel, for sharing his experience about wind energy utilization for power generation as well as its applications also. Definitely, our participants have got the insights of wind energy from your views, sir, from your presentations. Thank you very much. I thank to management of MUP Samaj, our Principal and Education Officer, Dr. N.S. Patil, sir, Vice Principal, Professor N.B. Desle, sir, our Head of Department, Dr. V.C. Shevale, sir, for their valuable guidance and support for this FDP. I thank to Professor R.S. Thakre for the technical support during the session. Last but not least, I thank to all our participants for presenting for this session and gaining the knowledge for the wind turbines. Thank you once again for all. There is a feedback link already posted by Professor Thakre on the chat box. You can copy that link, and this link will be sent on the mail also. Okay, so you can give your feedback for the session. Okay, so thank you, sir. Thank you very much for.
Thank you very much, Satish sir.
Yes, sir.
For inviting me to your college. Okay. After this pandemic, we'll always visit to your college also.
No
Whenever
problem. You are welcome. You are
thank
welcome.
you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
okay.
Thank you.
So, yes, sir. Okay. So with this, I conclude that today's session is over. Thank you. So tomorrow there will be session at 1:30 p.m. Okay, that will be a session on introduction to fuel cells. So all the participants are requested to join tomorrow also at 1:30 p.m. Thank you.